You know, I was listening to Thomas Friedman, who has come out with a new book recently about these kinds of issues. I forget something about the world's flat, or I forget. He always has these catchy titles. But I saw him, and he had a lot of interesting things to say about the need for public investment at this point in time, that the technology is there, but the price point is blocking us from being able to reach out and have renewables be part of the backbone of our energy, because you have to get to a certain level of quantity, mass production, to make it cheap. So do you see that as an issue for Nebraska with public power?
Oh, absolutely. And it's it's actually a part of our state law that whenever we build a new power plant, a new generating source, it's got to be lowest cost.
Okay.
And we interpret that as lowest cost at the end user's meter, not necessarily life cycle cost.
Okay.
So it has been an obstacle. I think we're at a point now where the development of the technology and the deployment, what we call to scale, it's big enough to use as at a utility level. We're really at a point where, especially if we look at life cycle costs, especially if we look at the ability to create jobs and economic development in the state, especially if we look at healthcare costs that go along with some of our more traditional technologies, it's very competitive. And
so you're saying that we need to have a broader picture of costs to be able to understand why renewables are good for us.
well, sure. What's the fastest growing item in the state budget? It's healthcare.
Yes.
And it's at a point where it's almost gobbling up our resources that are available for anything else, roads, education, you name it. Well, there's a definite link between burning coal and emphysema and asthma and a number of other diseases that cost us money as a society in terms of health care. And so if we do take a little bit larger picture, the costs are very, very competitive and maybe even advantageous.
Okay. Oh, well, then when we look at renewables, and this is the thing that baffles me. You know, we all know, we kind of can hear it in this studio today, Nebraska's wind. He keeps on blowing.
Right.
And why is it we don't see more wind turbines, and why isn't the country reaching out to the Midwest, you know, Nebraska and Kansas and places like that, to go and have more wind turbines? What's keeping us from doing that?
I think there are two things. And one is the mindset that says, well, the wind doesn't always blow, but you always want to be able to turn on your lights. And so if we were to go to 100% wind, and we could only build wind turbines in one place so that we'd be captive to the weather in that area, then I think it would make sense to say the wind doesn't always blow, so it's not a viable option. But because we're looking at it as a piece of an integrated system with a variety of fuel sources, many places around the country are finding that they could have wind from even up to 20% of their total supply and not have it interfere with reliability issues. So in part it's a mindset that has not moved up to kept up to date with the current data. And I think the other thing has to do with transmission. We built transmission lines to go to where people live. And the great wind resources aren't necessarily in those places. So there will be a rather significant investment required to be able to take that wind that's generated there and move it to where we need to use it.
Well, I want to go and tell everyone
Everybody